Hi guys, welcome to another beer review, and today we're going back over to Germany and we're looking at a beer from Hanscraft Co, brewed in collaboration with West Coast Beersmiths out of Sweden, and this is the Rebel Unchained, a raspberry milk stout, which is clocking in at 7.1% ABV, and ingredients are malted barley, raspberries, flaked barley, roasted barley, hops, lactose from milk, and yeast. And the best before date is the 1st of the 6th, 2019. So it's actually brewed in Gothenburg. And yeah, collaboration between I'd say one of like the bigger original sort of like craft breweries. You know, the ones who are like quite known before Germany. You know, I'm by far an expert, but yeah, you knew about them before this big influx of German craft breweries and this renaissance that they're going through. And yeah, very well respected. I had their Sundowner New England style IPA, which was one of the best New England style IPAs that I've had. And of course, they do an absolutely wonderful Imperial Stout and their Backbone Splitter, very popular beer. I think that was one of the first sort of German craft beers that a lot of people might have drank outside of Germany. Again, that's a bit of a bold claim, but you know where I'm going with that. But yeah, so I've had experience with their Imperial Stouts, and boy, they know how to brew them. So I'm very, very, very excited to try this. The story of the youth who went forth to brew lawlessly, brewed and bottled in Gothenburg, Sweden. So I picked this up from Birretta when I was in Regensburg, so the link's down below to those guys. It's one of my favourite bottle shops, and I need to go back there as soon as possible because their range has grown so much in such a short amount of time. And yeah, so if you're ever in Regensburg or Bavaria in general, take a train to Regensburg. They've got fantastic traditional breweries there anyway that you can enjoy. And they've got Birretta, and do it in May when the craft beer festival's going on. But yeah, anyway, I'm waffling on already. But cool artwork, slightly different since it has not been brewed at Hanscraft. They've used one of those sort of like peel off, sort of like smoother labels. So hopefully that comes off because that is a really nicely designed label, and just a plain black crown. So, without any further ado, let's get this opened and see what we get. So, using my beer moth glass for this one. And there we are. So, I'm interested to see how the raspberries and the lactose are incorporated with the stout aspect of the beer. But, yeah, beer in a glass then, and that looks like you'd expect a stout to look. A little bit carbonated, a little bit more carbonated than I thought it would be, but not overly carbonated, far from it in fact. But yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but on the head, you know when you've had like an ice cream float and there's still that like little cloud of ice cream on the top, there's like a little trouble on the top. Trouble? Where did that come from? But yeah, beer is, the light's not too great in this room at the moment, but it's pretty much, from what I can see, not quite jet black, because when it do hold up to light, you do get those sort of like oaky sort of colours coming around the rim of the glass and the edges. But yeah, it's dark, it's nice and dense, and the beer poured with about, well, it's about 2 fingers initially. But yeah, nice sort of khaki looking head, so not too dark, not too light. It looks fantastic by all accounts. So let's see what we get on the nose. You're getting the raspberries. You're getting those raspberries really, really up front. Then you get that sort of like oaty, milky, like cereal milk aroma, which I sometimes get from lactose induced stouts. Sort of like infused, I should have said, not induced. But yeah, it's got that like Black Forest Gatto-esque sort of aroma. obviously with different fruits, but it's like cakey. Lovely, sort of like dark chocolate, cocoa powder mixed with a bit of coffee. But there's like a really nice vibrancy about it from that raspberry, which almost has that sort of like Ribena Vimto sort of vibe. But yeah, it's lovely. It really, really is. It's nice and balanced. It's one of those beers where you smell it and you get like this really nice balanced aroma, but then if you can pick out little bits and bobs. So it's probably going to smell a little differently when it's fully, you know, climatized to the glass. But as it is, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those biscuits. I never know what they're called, but they've got the little currants in. And they've got like a floral rim. My descriptions have been horrendous in this video, but yeah, that smells absolutely wonderful. Let's give it a taste. Prost. You get exactly what it says on the label. Now, I've had stouts that have had fruits infused with it, and you sometimes don't really pick that up. But this, it's a really quite predominant flavour. Not overwhelmingly so, it's not sickly or anything like that. It doesn't have, which a beer like this could potentially tend to have, like that sort of like synthetic edge. This doesn't. And it's what you expect. It's got that lovely, smooth, milky sort of character. Coming from that lactose, not too tart or sour on the back end either. Then you've got this lovely, bold, stouty body. And then you've got those tart raspberries coming through. And really, really nicely as well. But the base stout in this beer is lovely. It's not the biggest or the chewiest, but at 7.1%, mixing with that lactose, that sort of like very subtle velvety milkiness there. It's just absolutely lovely. It really, really is. Yeah, it's all married beautifully. That's it with this one. It's not like insane, it's not like slapping you around the face or anything like that. Because not every beer has to be like stupidly big flavour sort of bombs and that sort of stuff. This, first and foremost, 7.1%, masked really nicely. You could have a couple of bottles of this and it'd be really satisfying. Lovely earthy bitterness on the back end as I'm talking now. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect going into this one, but my god, that's delivered. It really, really has. And it's one of those occasions where, do you know what, an imperial version of this would be fantastic as well. But they wouldn't need to. They could happily brew this again and it gets the job done. You know, would it be interesting to see something like this aged? Probably, but as it is, you know, sometimes it's just nice to do a beer and just leave it. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for creativity. That's why I love craft beer. You know, I love the experimental side of craft brewing. I love the experimental side of any tradition, any sort of job, and especially when it comes to food and drink. I love that sort of stuff. But this has those elements there, but it's not too far left field. And it all culminates in a really satisfying and awesome little beer. Raspberry milk stout. It says it on the label and it delivers. It's what you want, even though I've just said I didn't know what to expect. See, I was almost thinking that that raspberry would just be more in the background, you know, just to like accommodate the bitterness on the back end. You know, like you sort of get those berry flavours with some stouts. I thought it'd be just like, oh, a little bit more accentuated. But no, it's like the raspberry character in this is strong, but not overwhelmingly so. And it works beautifully within the context and in collaboration with those ingredients. So it's got like raspberry pancakes, that sort of side. It's nice and sweet, not too sweet, not too dark, not too roasty, not too savoury, not too heavy. It's just a beer that I would happily drink again and again. I really, really would. So yeah, it's a damn good beer for sure. But then again, you've got Hanscraft Co involved, and West Coast Beersmiths. I've heard of them, but I don't think I've tried any of their beers. And you know what? After drinking this, well, I want to try as many breweries as I can. I will do my best to find more of their beers. So if you come across this beer, definitely give it a go. One of, for me, from my experience, one of the, how do I put this? Because if you say it's a solid brewery, it's just like, oh yeah, they do good beers, but that's about it. Consistent. I found Hanscraft Co to be very, very consistent. No dull beers from those guys. Even when it's a very basic sort of style or an interpretation of a style, it's just so nicely brewed. And this is another example of that. And I don't think I've had a stout that tastes like this without being riddled with adjuncts and syrups and that sort of stuff. Only, and this is, now I've got like sort of like raspberry yogurt vibes going on with this beer. It's one of those ones where it's surprisingly complex. It really, really is. Maybe just a tiny bit bolder in the body. That's really, it's not even a critique as such, because there's really nothing wrong with this beer at all. So in terms of a rating, I'm going to give Hanscraft Co.'s collaboration with West Coast Beersmiths Rebel Unchained Raspberry Milk Stout a very solid 9 out of 10. Definitely one I want to try again. So if you've tried this beer or any other beers from either brewery, then thoughts and recommendations down below. Check out both breweries. I think I've got a few beers from Hanscraft on the channel, so there might be enough for a playlist, so that'll be down there, as well as potentially a stout playlist. Check out Birretta, of course, and if anybody else has reviewed this one, then I'll put their links down below also. I'm starting to run low on my German beer stash, and I need to replenish it, so it's going to be very bittersweet, but we need more German craft beer here in the UK. British distributors, breweries who are big enough to distribute internationally, pull your finger collectively out of your arse and get on it, because we are missing out on so many great German craft beers and craft breweries. And I've said it multiple times, it's for me the most exciting and satisfying brewing culture. It's got the history of all the beers that I love, the Doppelbocks, the lagers, the very traditional way of brewing, and just how wonderful those beers are. But they've got such a burgeoning and exciting, well, I'd say burgeoning, it's in full flow, but we just don't get any of their beers here. I mean, like Brewdog's in Berlin. You know, that's a perfect way. Brewdog, bring more German beers to the UK. You know, because we're getting loads of UK beers sent out to Germany. Why not share the love? Because the British craft beer consumer is missing out on some absolutely wonderful beers like this from breweries like Hanscraft. And of course, big shout out to Sweden, even though I think they're a little bit more accessible and hyped compared to Germany. But, you know, Germany's more than just lagers, even though German lagers are phenomenal. You will find so many exciting bars, breweries, collaborations, brewing projects, so many talented brewers and fans of this weird and wonderful world, and we need more of their beers here in the UK. And I'm going to leave it at that. And yeah, so rambled on for way too long. 9 out of 10. Check out all those links down below, and hopefully you'll be able to put up with me for another beer review in the future. Very clumsily ended that video, but oh well. Thank you all for watching, and auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.